My name is Claire Bennett. I'm 33 years old, and on the morning my grandmother died, my family cried louder than anyone in the funeral home. By sunset, they had already divided everything she owned, except the one thing they never imagined she had left to me. At exactly 7:43 p.m., my cousin Olivia stood up during the reading of Grandma's will and smiled. "Well," she laughed, "I guess Claire won't be needing anything." Everyone chuckled. My older brother Ethan didn't even try to hide his grin. Mom squeezed his arm. She always said Claire could take care of herself. The attorney continued reading. The lake house. To Ethan. Grandma's jewelry. To Olivia. The antique furniture. To my mother. Her investment account. Split between my uncle and aunt. I simply sat there. Grandma loved all of us. I wasn't expecting millions, but I couldn't understand how my name had almost disappeared. Then the attorney stopped. He removed a second envelope from his briefcase. I've been instructed to open this only after the first will has been completed. The room became silent. This letter concerns Claire Bennett. Every head turned toward me. My mother frowned. There must be some mistake. The attorney calmly unfolded the paper. My dear Claire, if you're hearing this letter, then I was right. The people sitting around you have already decided what my belongings were worth. Now they're about to learn what your loyalty was worth. Nobody moved. The attorney continued reading. For 6 years, someone secretly paid every bill I couldn't afford after my stroke. Medication, private nurses, property taxes, home insurance, repairs, heating. No one knew, because Claire promised she would never tell anyone. She kept that promise. I never did. The room froze. My brother slowly looked at me. My mother blinked twice. Olivia whispered. What? The attorney continued. Claire spent more than $412,000 caring for me. She refused reimbursement every single time. She told me family wasn't a business transaction. The rest of my family visited when holidays were convenient. Claire came every Tuesday after work. Every Saturday morning. Every emergency. No one said a word. Then came the sentence that changed everything. Because of that, I have transferred ownership of something none of you know exists. My mother's face lost its color. The attorney reached into another folder. He placed a single key on the table, alongside a sealed folder. This key belongs to Safe Deposit Box 218. My uncle interrupted. What's inside? The attorney smiled politely. I honestly don't know. Grandma instructed me not to open it until after today's reading. The entire room suddenly became interested in me. Funny. 10 minutes earlier, I barely existed. Now everyone wanted to know what Grandma had hidden. My phone buzzed. A message from Mom. Don't make this awkward. Whatever's inside belongs to the whole family. I stared at the screen. 5 minutes ago, I supposedly deserved nothing. Now, apparently, everything should belong to everyone again. I answered with 4 words. We'll follow Grandma's wishes. Mom never replied. She simply stood up, walked straight toward me, and whispered something I'll never forget. If you love this family, you'll hand over whatever is inside before opening it. That was the exact moment I realized Grandma hadn't left me a gift. She had left me a test. And my family was already failing it. Before I tell you what was waiting inside that safe deposit box, and why my grandmother spent years preparing me for that moment, tell me where you're watching from, and what time it is there. I always love seeing how far these stories reach. I was a hospital administrator in Denver. My life revolved around schedules, insurance paperwork, staffing shortages, and solving other people's emergencies before they became disasters. Grandma used to joke that I organized chaos for a living. She wasn't wrong. After Grandpa died, she insisted she was perfectly independent. She wasn't. A year later, she suffered a severe stroke. Her speech recovered. Her pride never did. Mom visited once every few weeks. Ethan usually called on birthdays. Olivia filled Facebook with photographs captioned, Sunday lunch with Grandma. Nobody noticed the pictures were taken months apart. I noticed. Because I was there almost every day. 6 years earlier, the first hospital bill arrived. Grandma quietly folded it and placed it in a kitchen drawer. I'll figure something out. She smiled. I knew that smile. It meant she wouldn't. Without telling anyone. I paid the bill. Then another. Then another. Eventually, it became routine. Her medications, physical therapy, a stair lift, roof repairs after a hailstorm, a new furnace. Every month, Money quietly disappeared from my savings. Grandma thanked me every single time. I always answered the same way. You spent your whole life taking care of us. What I didn't realize was that she had been quietly watching everyone else too, and she remembered far more than any of us imagined. For years, I believed I was simply helping my grandmother live with dignity. I never imagined she was documenting everything. Not because she wanted to reward me, because she wanted the truth to survive after she was gone. When Grandpa died, the entire family suddenly became very busy. Busy grieving. Busy making decisions. Busy discussing the future of the family. At least, that's what everyone claimed. Reality looked different. Mom insisted Grandma should sell the house because maintaining it would become too much. My Uncle Robert agreed immediately. The market is hot, he kept saying. You could move into a nice retirement community. Grandma always smiled politely. I'll think about it. She never did. Only years later did I understand why. That little brick house wasn't just her home. It contained every memory of the life she and Grandpa had built together. Every birthday. Every Christmas. Every family dinner. Every photograph still hanging on the hallway walls. Selling it would have felt like burying Grandpa twice. I visited every Tuesday after work. Sometimes we talked for hours. Sometimes we watched old movies. Sometimes we simply drank tea in complete silence. Those quiet evenings became my favorite part of every week. Grandma never complained, not once, even when climbing the stairs became painful, even when arthritis made it difficult to hold a coffee cup, even when physical therapy exhausted her. She always found something to laugh about. You know what's wonderful about getting old? She once asked. I smiled. What? You stop caring what foolish people think. At the time I laughed. Now I realize she wasn't talking about strangers. She was talking about our family. The first time I truly noticed something was wrong happened during Thanksgiving. Grandma spent 3 days preparing dinner, despite my repeated offers to help. She loved hosting, said it made the house feel alive again. Everyone arrived exactly on time. Mom, Ethan, Olivia, Uncle Robert, Aunt Denise. Children running through the hallway. Laughter filling every room. For almost an hour, everything looked perfect. Then dinner ended, plates disappeared. Conversations shifted. And suddenly, every person who had been laughing around Grandma became strangely busy. Mom needed to leave early. Olivia had plans with friends. Ethan remembered an important football game. Within 15 minutes, the house was almost empty. Only Grandma and I remained. She slowly collected dirty dishes with trembling hands. I'll help, I said. She smiled. I knew you would. Together we washed dishes for nearly an hour. As I dried the last plate, Grandma quietly asked, "Did anyone notice I was struggling to stand?" I stopped. No. She nodded gently. I didn't think so. That sentence stayed with me for weeks. The following winter, her furnace stopped working during one of the coldest weeks of the year. The repair estimate was almost $12,000. Mom insisted insurance would eventually reimburse everything. They just need time. Grandma didn't have time. The house temperature had already dropped below 50 degrees. I paid the contractor that afternoon. 3 months later, I asked Mom whether insurance had reimbursed her. She looked surprised. Oh, yes. Eventually. She never offered to repay me, not even part of it. I told myself it didn't matter. Grandma was warm. That was enough. At least, that's what I wanted to believe. Another year passed. Then came Grandma's second hospitalization. The doctors recommended private rehabilitation if she wanted to walk without assistance again. Insurance covered only part of the cost. Mom organized a family meeting. Everyone agreed Grandma deserved the best care. Everyone also agreed someone needed to pay for it. My uncle promised to contribute. Olivia said she'd help after receiving her tax refund. Ethan claimed business was slow. Mom looked directly at me. You've always been good with money. Those words sounded like a compliment. In reality, they were an assignment. I paid. Again, nobody mentioned reimbursement afterward. The pattern repeated so many times that eventually it became invisible. Roof repairs, medical equipment, prescription medication, property taxes, wheelchair ramps, bathroom renovations, a part-time caregiver. Every expense somehow found its way to me. Whenever I hesitated, someone reminded me how much Grandma had sacrificed raising all of us. Whenever I paid, everyone thanked me for being such a wonderful granddaughter. Then they disappeared until the next emergency. Only Grandma seemed uncomfortable. One evening, she reached across the kitchen table. "You know they're taking advantage of your kindness." I immediately shook my head. "No, they're just struggling." She smiled sadly. "Claire, I've lived 84 years. I know the difference." I didn't answer. Because deep inside, I already knew she was right. I just wasn't ready to admit it. About 2 years before she passed away, Grandma began asking unusual questions. "What does your retirement account look like? Have you taken a vacation recently? When was the last time you bought something just because it made you happy?" I laughed every time. "I'm fine." She frowned. "No, you're surviving. Those are different things." One Saturday, she opened an old photo album. Inside were pictures from my childhood. There I was at 7 years old, proudly holding a lemonade stand sign. At 12, helping Grandpa paint the fence. At 16, mowing Grandma's lawn before school. She pointed to one photograph after another. "You've always believed love is something you earn." I looked at her, confused. "What do you mean?" "You think if you keep giving, people will eventually love you the same way." The room became quiet. Because for the first time, someone had described my entire life in a single sentence. Grandma reached for my hand. "The people who truly love you never keep score." I swallowed hard. She squeezed my fingers gently. "And the people who do keep score usually aren't keeping score of what they've taken." At the time, I thought she was simply sharing wisdom. I had no idea she had already started preparing for the day our family would reveal who they really were. And she was making sure I would never face that day alone. 3 weeks after the funeral, the attorney finally called. "The contents of the safe deposit box have been inventoried," he said. "You should come alone." That single word, alone, immediately told me Grandma had expected exactly what would happen next. When I arrived, the attorney placed several folders across the conference table. There wasn't a fortune inside. There weren't diamonds. There wasn't hidden cash. There was something much more valuable. The truth. For nearly 10 years, Grandma had kept meticulous records. Every bill, every receipt, every bank transfer, every medical payment, every property tax notice, every repair invoice, and beside each document, one handwritten note, paid by Claire. Thousands of pages, every sacrifice I had made in complete silence. Then came another folder. "This," the attorney said quietly, "is why your grandmother wanted you here." Inside were copies of letters. Letters Grandma had written, but never mailed. One was addressed to my mother. One to my uncle. One to Ethan. One to Olivia. She had planned to send them while she was alive. Instead, she decided the truth would matter more after she was gone. The letters were painfully honest. To my mother she wrote, "You stopped visiting me long before you stopped pretending you loved me." To Ethan, "A grandson who only appears when he needs something eventually becomes a stranger carrying my last name." To Olivia, "Pictures on social media are not memories, they are advertisements." None of the letters contained anger. Only disappointment. Then I opened the final envelope. "My dear Claire, if you're reading this, then you've probably spent the last few weeks wondering why I gave you the key, instead of simply telling everyone the truth while I was alive. The answer is simple. People reveal their true character when they believe no one is watching. Had I exposed them earlier, they would have behaved better for a while. But they wouldn't have changed. Instead, I let them show you exactly who they were. Now you never have to wonder." I couldn't stop crying. The attorney quietly handed me another document. It wasn't a letter. It was a trust agreement. Years before her stroke, Grandma had quietly established a charitable foundation. Its purpose was simple: provide emergency financial assistance to elderly people abandoned by their families. She named only one trustee, me. The remaining estate, nearly $2.8 million after taxes and investments, had been transferred into that trust. Not for me personally, not for my relatives, for helping people exactly like Grandma. The attorney smiled. She told me something I'll never forget. "What?" He looked directly at me. She said, "Claire has already proven she knows how to care for one lonely old woman. Now let her help thousands." The news reached my family within 48 hours. Their reactions were exactly what Grandma predicted. Mom called first. Suddenly she wanted to reconcile. She cried. She apologized. She said grief had made everyone behave badly. Then she casually asked whether the foundation could support family members first. I politely said no. She hung up. Ethan arrived at my apartment 3 days later. He claimed he had always defended me. When I mentioned Grandma's letters, he became quiet, then angry. You think you're better than us now? No, I answered. I finally stopped believing I was worth less. He left without another word. Olivia posted several emotional videos online. She claimed Grandma had been manipulated. Thousands of strangers believed her. Until one reporter requested public probate documents. The letters. The payment records. The trust. Everything became public. Her videos disappeared within days. My uncle challenged the will in court. The judge dismissed the case in less than an hour. Grandma had anticipated that too. Every document had been reviewed by independent attorneys years earlier. There was nothing to challenge. Only consequences. Over the next year, the foundation funded wheelchair ramps, emergency medication, heating bills, home repairs, caregivers, transportation for elderly cancer patients. Every approval reminded me of Grandma. Every family we helped reminded me that kindness should never depend on blood. One afternoon, an 87-year-old widow hugged me after receiving assistance replacing her leaking roof. She whispered, "I thought everyone had forgotten me." I smiled through tears. So did someone very important to me. At that moment, I understood Grandma's final gift. It had never been the money. It was purpose. Nearly 18 months later, Mom sent me a birthday card. Inside were only 6 words. Families should forgive each other someday. No apology, no accountability, just another request disguised as wisdom. I placed the card inside the same box that held Grandma's letters. Then I closed it. Some memories deserve preserving. Others deserve ending. People often ask whether I regret spending more than $400,000 caring for Grandma. Never. Not for a second. I don't regret loving someone who loved me back. I don't regret making her final years comfortable. I don't regret choosing compassion. The only thing I regret is believing that silence protected families. Sometimes, silence only protects the people causing the harm. Grandma taught me something I'll carry for the rest of my life. Love is measured by consistency, not speeches, not holiday photographs, not inheritance arguments, not social media tributes after someone dies. Real love quietly shows up. Again, and again, and again, long after everyone else has gone home. If someone only values you after discovering what you can give them, they never valued you. They valued access. Grandma didn't leave me the biggest inheritance. She left me the clearest understanding of what family should be. And because of that, I became richer than anyone sitting in that lawyer's office could ever understand. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been the person who quietly carried everyone else's responsibilities while receiving almost no recognition in return? Did someone only appreciate you after they realized what they stood to lose? Share your story below, because someone reading your comment may finally realize they are not alone. Thank you for watching this story all the way to the end. This story is a fictional work created for entertainment, dramatic reflection, and educational purposes. If it reminded you of one important truth, let it be this: the greatest inheritance is never money. It is discovering your worth before someone else decides to measure it by what they can take from you.